So, if you've been on the internet lately, you probably know that AI is taking over. Kidding. I mean, not really. But let's just say a lot of disciplines and professions in different industries have started using AI for different purposes. Lately, I've started seeing this vibe coding trend going on. This means sort of like coding a project using AI and going with the vibes, whatever it is. I mean, it probably started off as a joke, but some people are come to take it seriously. This also transitioned into a design trend, and people started vibe designing as well, which means that they are designing an app with AI tools. And so my idea for this video is I wanted to try vibe designing a brand. I personally found it interesting, and so I decided to share it with you today. Let's go. Hello world, my name is Ivana, and I have transitioned from web development to design, and lately I've been on a brand creation sort of spree, so to say. So I wanted to create new brands that I had like ideas at the back of my head about, but I just couldn't find time before. So I wanted to try out a new brand, and for that reason I decided to do something called vibe design that I will be calling from now on. What this actually turned out to be is sort of using ChatGPT to help me create a brand around a vibe. I had an idea for a vibe of the brand, but I didn't have idea about their name or tone of voice or anything like how it looks. Right? So I wanted to have ChatGPT sort of help me narrow these things down. So it sort of played the part of a client, maybe a little bit of creative director, though I have been also a creative director, and a copywriter. But also I didn't want to give it the task of designing everything. I designed the logo and I generated with Midjourney some photographs that would represent the brand based on the vibes that we narrowed down with ChatGPT. And so let me tell you what happened. So in the beginning, I wanted to make sure that ChatGPT understood what vibe coding is, and it sort of does, it sort of doesn't, but I wanted to ask it based on what, according to it, vibe coding is, what would vibe design look like. So based on that, what vibe designing is, I asked how would that work for brand design. I sort of had an idea of what I wanted to do with the vibe, with the brand designing of the vibe designing whole thing. And so I didn't really like what it gave me, but I told it that I wanted to act as a creative director and tell me steps and informations I need to design a brand by a vibe, which turned out to be like my process of how I continued on. And first step that I did in my head was to define the vibe and not the product. I mean, I knew that I wanted a specific brand, but I wanted to define the vibe behind it instead of going with the name first or something like that. So we get to the important part, that is my sort of loose brief about the vibe. The vibe or the brand will be a sustainable clothing brand. And that is very important to me, that it's sustainable clothing brand, but it's on the luxurious side a little bit. Like, I didn't want it to look like another sustainable clothing brand with leaves and brown linen clothes and stuff like this. I want it to be luxurious and modern and a little bit more daring. But at the same time, at the back of my head, it is more of a sustainable brand clothing instead of fast fashion sort of, brand. I had this idea taken from Blade Runner 2049, which is this huge office of this guy and very minimalist, but super like high ceilings, absolutely like huge and overpowering vibe of the whole scene. It gave off vibes, okay? And so I went after searching for brutalist buildings from the previous century that give off this vibe and that give off this sense for like people are so tiny compared to this huge ceilings and this huge window that just gives off the light only on a certain part of this office. And yeah, this is what I was going for. So the vibe that I was going for is, I told the ChatGPT the vibe of the brand is grandeur, like it's huge, it's looming on top of you, like it's going to crush you and you're just the tiny human. This is the vibe. People should feel awe and feel inspired by the clothes and the visual identity. And so the first thing I told it to give me was to give me a tone of voice and an example of how that would look like and how would the brand speak to its audience. What it gave me, I was surprised how quickly this AI just understood the assignment. And if you can see here, these tone dimensions, awe, power, sustainability, inspiration, mystery, like they all sounded like something that I imagined. However, when I got down to here, it sounded a little bit more pretentious, so to say. Like it sounded not super clear, like you're saying a lot without saying anything, like you're saying a lot of words without saying that much. So told it to make it a bit more clear. It feels pretentious. Down to earth, we are talking to people with the same views as us, people who want sustainable clothing, but also they want like high fashion sort of clothes. And so we ended up with a little bit more longer sentences, but that's not a problem. We still have clear vision and clear voice, talking to people, and no like pretentious words and stuff like this. Some messaging for the website, homepage, I have about section, product category. I mean, it gave me these because I was going with the vibes and I just gave it whatever I felt at the moment that I wanted to have to get this clearer idea of the brand, so that I can later have the like logo and visuals created. At this point, I knew that I could take some of this and create ideas in Midjourney for the clothes, the models, the staging of the photo shoots from Midjourney. And so these are the initial prompts and results that I got from Midjourney, and they were vibes. I don't know, I really liked these clothes. It's not, I won't wear them, don't get me wrong, and they don't really look that functional, but they look like something I would expect from the vibes that I gave ChatGPT. So I think Midjourney also was doing a good job with this, and I continued in this direction with some of these photos, with some creative concepts for garments over here, like concrete shell jacket, column coat, and load-bearing tee. Very creative, I guess. Next, I felt that it was time to create the name for the brand, and it gave me very interesting suggestions, with monolith sounding a lot like what I was looking for. But Vibe told me that there would probably be a lot of other companies that sound the same or that have the same name. And so I asked ChatGPT if there are a lot of such brands with the name Monolith, which it told me that yes, there are a lot of these. And so I decided to have another name, which is more like an obelisk, because that sounded like something monolithic and something interesting as a name which there probably are a lot of brands with the same name as well. But what I decided, or what ChatGPT gave me, and then I decided to have, is to have this OBLX, abbreviated brutalist code aesthetic. And so our vibe is now called OBLX, which is abbreviation of obelisk, something like that, I suppose. It sounded right. It sounded like a brand name that would fit the images that I had already created, and that would fit the tone of voice a lot. So I think that was a good call. Futuristic, minimalist, and flexible for a fashion tech hybrid brand. Feels like a design code, not just a word. Strong visual potential for logotypes. And logotype I created. First, I thought that this typography would look cool and different, but it looked a little bit more flowery than what I had imagined for the brand, and so I went back to look for a typeface that is a little bit more simple, I suppose, and we have OBLX like this. I think it looks pretty cool with the imagery. I think they fit pretty well together. Let me know what you think. It's maybe underwhelming to some of you, but I really like how it turned out, because taking a simple typeface and making it a little bit interesting is maybe a different task, or at least it's for me. I don't know for some of you how it seems. The reasoning behind the X being a little bit cut is because with the whole X there was a lot more space left here around the L. So I thought maybe if we scooch the X a little bit more towards the L, it would be better, so that it doesn't create this huge hole of air in between the letters. And the B has only a slight curve here that makes it just slightly bit more interesting, geometrical, architectural, kind of thing. And yeah, this is the logotype. Oh my god, the Logomark next. I gave ChatGPT the task to give me some examples of how the Logomark would look like, and neither of these actually sounded anything that I wanted to make. I had a lot of ideas and I sketched them out, and this again comes to the vibe. I was sketching based on the vibes that I was feeling. Like no idea was set in stone or super concrete, and so I was sketching what I was feeling would fit the vibe and the imagery and the typeface. I don't know why, I just thought that the sun idea maybe and some ellipse or circle would fit the best in this case. This is why I did make an ellipse sort of mark. And the thought behind it is that an obelisk in ancient Egypt, I guess, it's a monument to the sun, I think. And it's tall and basically like stretches towards the sun and the sky and the solar system and stuff like this. So this is the vibe that I was going after, I suppose. And so a little bit more futuristic space theme. Therefore, we ended up with, Saturn and its moons or whatever. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it looks interesting. It's still simple as a Logomark. And so from this point on, I guess I decided to go with the vibes again and create like a presentation of how I thought this would look like. And so I want to present to you Obelix. Obelix is the brand that will change clothing forever with brute force. The world doesn't need more clothes, it needs better ones. By Obelisk, obviously. Obelisk is strong and they build lasting clothes. Sustainability isn't softness, it's durability. Concrete is not soft, it's durable. So is Obelisk. It's built like a wall or a structure, but it moves with the body. The clothes Obelisk build are simple, durable, and honest. They don't just design clothes, they design presence. New collection coming soon, I guess, is this slide. Get ready, there is a storm brewing. Not of chaos, but of change for sustainable clothes. Obelisk. Simple, durable, honest clothes. So, did you like this vibe design presentation? Did you like the brand? Let me know down in the comments what you thought. And I don't know if this is the correct way to go about it. I don't think so, because design process is very different than what I experienced with this test that I did with ChatGPT. Even when you do the regular design process for branding, there is still a different way to use ChatGPT. But in this case, I thought I would take a different approach to the whole design process. And so we ended up here. I might have ended up here even if I didn't use ChatGPT, but I did like the experience and sort of the brainstorming of ChatGPT and me together. And yeah, I think I also like the final result, and I really hope you like it too. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Did you like this? Was it inspiring? Will you try Vibe brand design? And like the video if you liked everything else. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more brand design videos and other design videos. I have a redesign of a website planned for next time, and so if you're interested to see that, subscribe if you want. Thanks so much everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!